One of my subscribers asked me a really great question the other day. He immediately deleted his comment, don't get me wrong. I wish I could have replied to it there, but the comment was effectively saying, did the final, most recent developer stream convince you to finally pre-order Final Shape? Now, me personally, I have been on the anti-give Bungie my money bandwagon for the past 9 months now, considering what I feel is a poor game state, poor marketing decisions, poor game directorial decisions, just really baffling decision-making made by the leadership at Bungie. But upon seeing the most recent 4 developer streams, and most recently the stream where we were shown the gameplay preview in a Vidoc style from the Final Shape, I have made a decision on whether or not pre-ordering Final Shape is actually going to be a good idea. Back in July of last year, I made a state of the game, my thoughts on how I thought that Destiny was going at that point in time, and it really wasn't good. Shortly after that video, my state of the game, Joe Blackburn and the Bungie Destiny 2 community team put out their own state of the game, how they thought the game was going and what they were going to do to fix it. And comparing that state of the game to now with the release of Into the Light and the new information that we now know of for Destiny Into the Light and the Final Shape and the internal leaks coming out of Bungie for a new project, let's just say. I'll go over that in a little bit, but just so you don't have to watch it, TLDR, the state of the game at that point in July was terrible. The community was going in the wrong direction. The sentiment at the time was the worst it had ever been, ever, maybe with the exception of Destiny 1, the gap in between Taken King and Rise of Iron, or during Destiny 2, the gap after Beyond Light came out and most of the content was taken out of the game into the release of Vaulted Glass. Sentiment was at that time at an all-time low, and, you know, the trajectory has gone a little bit up since then, but, you know, it's still relatively bad. Part of that, in my analysis, was down to cryptic, piss-poor decision-making by Bungie's management and their marketing team. I'm going to give a shout-out specifically to Gary Clay, the lead of marketing for Destiny. From what I understand, I am very active in following his Twitter, considering that part of the business world I'm very familiar with, and I like to give my thoughts where they apply, and it feels like that they are listening to me specifically, which makes me feel like such a special little boy, and part of the reason why I'm making this video right now. To put it simply, the game had and still has many, many problems, including but not limited to the core playlist being gutted, the seasonal events that they put out every year being rehashed or rewashes Eververse machines, the servers, the actual matchmaking portion of Crucible being absolutely shredded and at times unworkable, the balance of the PvP game modes being just destroyed by abilities and special ammo spam, things like Gambit not getting touched. We'll go over that. However, with those problems, there definitely is some upside. We have seen significant improvement in some areas, and specifically communication. Now, I am no communication type bro where they have to tell us what they're doing, when they're doing it, exactly how they're doing it. I am more of a show us what you're working on so that we can comprehend what we're buying before we buy it, so that we're not surprised by what is inside of these DLCs and what's inside of these seasons. I have never been a fan of that sort of thing. I understand you need to keep secrets, but Bungie's method of generating hype being, oh, let's drop cryptic hints here and there and drop a trailer for what the people bought until 2 minutes or an hour or 3 hours before the season starts, that is very, very unsustainable. Just a quick aside, the footage that I've been showing right now is the most recent Vidoc, edited a little bit, and as you can see, my baby, the Cerberus +1, is being used in this clip. Cerberus, it is so back, we are so freaking back. Cerberus +1 is the best gun in the game. So, I will talk about the improvements specifically. Improvement number 1, war communication, big W from Bungie, big W from Gary Clay. I'm not going to glaze them for much longer because I feel like this is something that we should have had the entire time, but now that we actually have it, it feels so great to actually know and see the things that we're buying and be able to know where our money is being spent before we spend it. On top of that, all the content that we are seeing in the new development footage is a significant improvement to what we saw last time. I understand they weren't able to show us everything last time, but from what we understand from Bungie internal leaks, all of the new Prismatic Subclass and customizations, these are features that were originally supposed to be shelved until the release of a new project or a new DLC year. However, because of people being so underwhelmed and the community response being so poor to their games, they were forced to internally bring this up to themselves and bring Prismatic in for another year. So on top of getting 3 new supers for existing subclasses, we're also technically getting a new subclass. I would call this a new subclass. Big ups from Bungie, that's huge. Also, I'm going to talk very briefly about Into the Light here. Into the Light is just a cracked version of the 30th anniversary pack. It's free. Nobody can be complaining about this. It improves a lot of things with the loot grinding, gives us new power creep things. It's basically a signal of the end, I would say, considering that there is no chance they would reintroduce all of these broken weapons if they weren't planning on sticking with Destiny long term, considering the way that these things typically break the balance of a game and make the meta exceptionally stale. Anyway, moving on, so talking about the actual content that I saw in the trailer, to summarize, obviously we saw the new world, we saw a tiny bit of what I'm assuming is the new social area in the old tower in the beginning cold open of the trailer. We saw new guns, we saw kind of new abilities, that being the prismatic grenades, the special grenades. They released a TWAD, whatever it's called now. I'm going to link that in the comment section below if you want to read exactly how the prismatic abilities work. That's not something that I'm going to be covering in this video. I'm really talking about on whether or not that this alone was worth my money. And because of that, I have to think, okay, does this final developer documentary, or one of the final developer documentaries that we're receiving, does this answer the concerns that I have previously had with the game? Those concerns being a couple of things. For starters, the communication was terrible. They need to fix it. The core game modes were bad. They needed to fix the loot. They needed to fix the gameplay loop, the rewards, the way these things were handled. They needed to update these modes, being Crucible, Gambit, and the Strike playlist, the PvE playlist. They needed to do things like improve matchmaking in Trials of Osiris. They needed to improve actual server stability so that they didn't go down for 5 hours at a time anytime there was a new patch released. And they also needed to address the community's anger in a meaningful way that would have long-lasting ramifications. In any case, this trailer really doesn't answer any of those concerns. I mean, obviously, it builds hype for the community. That is, I guess, addressing the community's anger. We've seen the changes for Crucible, but that, isn't addressed by this trailer, and there really hasn't been anything provided to me in this trailer that suggested that they were going to fix the things that they said they were going to fix in the state of the game that Joe Blackbird put out around August of last year. Because of that, I have to evaluate whether or not that this alone, or this combined with the past 6 to 10 weeks of, I don't want to say communication, but we've seen trailers, we've seen leaks, we've had internal documents come through from things like Sony suggesting that Bungie is on their last legs. We've had people from Bungie Studio get fired. We've had many people come out with leaks and such, and we actually have all of this new information now that we are going over. There are 2 theories as to why you want to pre-order a video game. Theory 1 being you support the developers and you just want to give them your money so that they are able to justify to themselves and to their bosses, hey, this thing is going to be popular at launch, which means we need to make more content for it for the future. Theory 2 is the pre-order bonus that you get is good, and you just want the pre-order bonus. In this case, the pre-order bonus for the final shape got a little bonus. It's still really the same as before. You get your emblems, you get your Testallation, the grenade funky fusion rifle, but now you also get a pyramid ship as a ship. I think the ship is cool, but it's really not worth breaking the bank pre-ordering over. Which means you have to go back to theory one, and in this case, do I want to preemptively invest myself in a Bungie that is cornered with their back against the wall, with external threats from their publishers, from their owners, suggesting that they're going to overhaul the entire studio, get rid of key staff members, and really just change the direction of Bungie? Or do I want to not pre-order it and demonstrate to them that they need to earn my money by putting out something good that I would then buy? By no stretch of the imagination do I hate Bungie. As a matter of fact, I love the studio. I grew up playing their games, starting in the early 2000s with Halo, obviously, and then moving on to Destiny in 2014, and then for the last 10 years, Destiny has been the main game that I played, with the exception of a brief period of time in 2017 when I dropped it at the release of Destiny 2 because it fucking sucked at the release of Destiny 2. But I still want them to succeed. I myself am far too invested in this universe, in these characters, in the communities that I'm a part of, the community that I have created for myself, the clans that I've been in, the clans that I have created, the clans that I've currently been in, the people I have met, the memories that I have made, the opportunity that this game is allowing me to have currently is a debt that is almost impossible for me to repay through just giving them $60 or $100 for a pre-order. And because of that, despite disagreements that I have with them via the direction of the game, or disagreements that I have with them about marketing, just note that those marketing decisions are getting better. I feel like Gary Clay is specifically listening to me. He's really listening to everybody. He feels like he's unshackled with the things that they are willing to show us before the game comes out. Let's just hope that trend continues. I love the developer streams. I love what they're doing in terms of communication. The Destiny 2 Twitter team is a little bit cooked right now, but we'll get back into that another time. The moral of the story is I loop back to the original question presented to me that caused me to make this video specifically today. Does this new trailer cause me to want to pre-order the final shape? And the answer isn't yes, it wants me to pre-order the final shape. The answer is yes, I have pre-ordered the final shape, and I'm going to be giving away copies of the final shape to my viewers in the coming months whenever I am able to, through my own funds or through codes if I receive any. But pre-ordering Final Shape, I feel, for me, is a smart decision, considering that I want to support the studio, I want them to succeed, I want them to be able to tell to their bosses that, hey, this thing, it's making money, the people have their faith put back in us again, give us another chance to make this thing great. And if me pre-ordering Destiny 2 means that the future of Destiny, that being the seasons after the Final Shape releases, and the mystery project Payback that we've received some pretty deep leaks about in the coming days are true, then that means that I'm just gonna give them my money. So yeah, I pre-ordered Destiny 2, the Final Shape. I think if you are a fan of this game and you want Bungie to be better and to succeed and to continue on the trajectory that they are currently on, that is the most important thing. We are not hoping that they go onto a new trajectory. We have seen the current trajectory that they are going on right now, and that trajectory is good. That trajectory is that they are listening. Despite some concerns that I have with things like Gambit or the Strike playlist, I think that they are currently doing a good job communicating what their vision is via the trailers we have been seeing, the live streams that we have been getting for things like Into the Light and now the Final Shape. I feel that this is a worthwhile investment, putting my time, my money, my energy into this game, into this company. So if you are like me and you say to yourself, I support Bungie, I want Bungie to succeed, I like the direction that I think Destiny is going at the moment, I am agreeing more, and we're seeing improvement in their marketing teams, we're seeing improvements for their actual leadership, we're seeing the developers being able to develop, to quote the old adage, beware of over-delivery. I feel that now we are going to be entering again an era of Destiny similar to the Forsaken area, where they are actually be able to over deliver and to be able to make this game their best vision on what they think it can be. And I am confident in the future of this game, at least for the next 3 years. And if pre-ordering the final shape as it currently stands gets me through another 3 years of Destiny content, because they're able to actually make more content without getting shut down, then yeah, I agree definitely if you have the money to pre-order the game. That all being said, I want to know your thoughts in the comments below. Please start a little bit of discussion. Let me know whether or not you have already pre-ordered the final shape, if you've put your money where your mouth is, really. And let's have a discussion for those of you who are seeing this. Besides that, I want to thank each and every single one of you who are watching this, if you're watching this up to this point, and thank you. Have a great rest of your day.